Once you know your brand's position in the market and what you stand for, it's time to build demand for whatever your offer is. And like last week, we're talking about brand visibility in today's episode. Welcome to the Brand Gravity Show. I am your host, psychology-driven brand strategist Kaye Putnam, and one of the most effective marketing visibility strategies that I've used is podcasting. Being a guest on somebody's podcast is brilliant for many reasons. One, you get to share each other's audiences. So if you are on a show that has some subsection of their audience that overlaps with yours, then you have the opportunity to attract more people to your business, to your offer, to your brand. And then also you get to borrow some of their clout and authority that they've built up with their audience. By being featured as an expert on somebody else's show, that podcaster is giving you the stage, their mic. And my guest, Christina Lenkowski, is a forward-thinking podcast publicist and educator for entrepreneurs, speakers, and authors looking to expand their credibility and go from best kept secret to go-to expert in their industry through being a guest on other people's podcasts. In 2019, after 13 years working in the PR realm, Christina discovered what being a guest on podcasts did for her online-based business. Since then, she's dedicated her work to helping other business owners, particularly women, see the same kind of results. She's been a guest on over 50 podcasts, including her Empire Builder, Profit Podcast, and The Heather Sager Show, has helped her private clients get booked on over 350 top-rated shows, including Hello 7 with Rachel Rogers, The Online Business Show with Tyler McCall, The Copywriter Club, and Get Paid with Claire Pelletreau, among others. Christina lives in Boise, Idaho with her husband and daughter. Let's dive into the conversation. I am so excited about this conversation because I tell my clients and my students all of the time that they should be pitching themselves for podcasts. To get us excited, can you tell me some of your favorite case studies or examples of either of your own experience or from clients of what this can do for people's businesses?
Absolutely. So first off, I think, and you said this, but I think it's important to say, let me tell my story really briefly. And I think that'll give people a little bit of inspiration there and get them excited. And that is, I've been in the PR and marketing world for almost 2 decades, for almost 20 years at this point. Like, your girl's 40, so we're almost 41. So we're like at that point now. And when, so I work for these agencies, I work for big companies, Cirque du Soleil, Dark Horse Comics, all these state and regional tourism boards. And when I had my daughter in 2014, I decided, okay, I am done being a senior account exec, like for a PR agency. I didn't expect that was going to be my reaction. I didn't always, I thought that I would just work full time after I had my daughter, but that just wasn't the reality of the situation. I wasn't, interested in doing that. And the agency tried to make it work. I tried to make it work, but it just didn't happen, like on working part-time. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go off on my own. And for the first couple of years, I just did copywriting, just kind of picked up gigs every now and again. But all the tourism agencies that I had worked with, because that was definitely my area of expertise, started to come to me and they're like, can you consult? Can you do XYZ? I was like, yeah, of course, and kind of started to do those things. And then I had that genius idea, like a lot of us have, where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do a course. And then I'm just going to sell this course for obviously $1 million. And like, I'm not going to have to worry about anything ever again. And like, this is great. And so I did said course. And when that course launched, I did what all the online marketing gurus said to do. And that was, ads to webinars, to an email sequence, et cetera. I bet you there's people shaking their head. Kaye's shaking her head. A lot of people know this right now. And it was a complete failure for me. And I want to back up for a second. Even though I was teaching publicity, I did no publicity to launch my course. That's on me. That ain't on anybody else. That's on me. But I was just like, nope, this is what they say to do. So this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to do it. And so the next time, that was a huge failure. Like, my partner was like, so now what are we doing here? And I was like, oh no, this is like, I'm going to make this happen. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to do this my way. And so I started to book myself on podcasts that were full of my ideal customer, which for me was tourism, organizations, entities, et cetera. And those started to air. And the difference that I saw in my business was night and day. People reaching out to me to say, how can we work with you? Can you come speak on our stages? People buying my multiple $1,000 course right off the shelf. All these things started happening, and it was because that know, like, and trust factor had been upped so dramatically that they were like, this person knows what they're talking about, and we want to figure out how we can work with them. And so I love that because it say to you that this can work. This is what people really respond to. The average consumer believes earned media, which is what publicity is, 72% more than they believe in ad. So that work that I was doing before, not to say that it wasn't doing anything, it was getting my name out there and stuff like that, but people didn't connect with me until they heard my voice and they heard me on someone else's platform that they trusted.
100%. I have gotten some of my best results. I'm a marketer, forgive me. So I give things like special names, but I call it OPA, other people's audiences.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Mm-hmm.
You get to like borrow the authority of the person. You get to borrow the audience for a short period of time. You get to show up as your best self. Plus you have this multimedia experience where people, like you said, hear your voice. They get to make that really quick judgment of if they resonate with you or not. And if they resonate with what you're teaching, what you're saying, and it speeds up that whole sales process so much. So I love this as a strategy for pretty much anybody. But let me ask that question. Who benefits from showing up on podcasts?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple things I always like to say here. And one is people that feel they know that they connect with people, right? So when they talk to folks, even if it's one-on-one or when they speak at an event or something, that people really resonate with what they say, they kind of light up when they tell their story and when they talk.
Yeah.
That to me is the person who's used so well on podcasts. They kind of naturally have that charisma that people are going to resonate with when they hear their voice. And I think that there's a lot of people out there that know they have that ability, but they feel shy about acknowledging that they have that ability. And there is so much power in that ability. And there's so much power to bring the right people to your business. And I know you talk about this a lot, Kaye, but it's like, how do we have that gut feeling? How do we attract the right people to our business? And you said it exactly earlier when you said, people are going to hear you and they're either going to like you or they're not going to like you. Okay. That's the fact of the matter. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be people that are listening to you right now that are like, no. And they're going to turn off this podcast, right? They're not going to be that interested in what I have to say. That's okay. I'm not going to take it personally because I also know that there's people out there that are listening to me that are like, yes, this is, this really resonates with me and what this person is saying really resonates with me. So I think that if you know in your gut that you have that ability, you would do very, very well on podcasts. The other thing that I like to say to folks is where is your audience? And what I mean by that is, if you are a local organization, meaning, hey, I just have a brick and mortar business, we don't ship, we don't do this other stuff, there is absolutely still a place for you in podcasts. It just means that you're just going to want to get on local podcasts, right? That's not the work that we do, but there's obviously local PR agencies where you live probably that can help with that. We are more so trying to get in front of online business owners and people that are down to work with anyone, anywhere in the country, and even beyond that, anywhere in the world, right? So you want to be able to have that ability to connect with folks because a podcast is not necessarily just geographical, right? It's not just necessarily any one place. Kaye has people listening to this right now from all over the world, I'm sure. Yeah. So that's really awesome. And as long as you have the ability to work with folks in that way, ship internationally or ship nationwide, then absolutely podcasts are a great place for you to be.
Love that. How do we track the ROI of our podcast visibility efforts?
That's the $1 million question. Am I right? So yes. One thing about PR, public relations, that is very, very difficult is the tracking. And that's just something, it is not me blowing smoke up. Like if you know me for 1 second, I'm not about, excuse my language, but bullshit vanity metrics. I'm about what actually moves the needle in your business. But the thing to keep in mind with that is it can be really hard to have hard numbers, okay? Meaning that like with a social media ad or these other type of things, you can really say, this is how many people I got in front of. This is how many converted. This is how many bought. That isn't going to happen with PR. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I just want to get that kind of off the table right away, because unfortunately that's just not the way it works. When it comes to shows, we don't know how many downloads they have. So that is not public knowledge. It's not public information for us. Only the host and their platform that they put their podcasts on knows that information. Now, we do find out that info for our clients after we do an interview. We do ask about that, but it's not something we know beforehand. So with that in mind, and kind of with that knowledge, I always say to people, like, what I want you to be super focused on is who you are getting in front of, not how many people, right? So I want to be going on shows that have my ideal customer listening to them. I do not care if that is 200 people or 20,000 people, because my clients and myself have seen much greater ROIs on shows that are niched and full of that exact right person, where they really trust what that host has to say, as opposed to shows with tens of thousands of listeners that don't really care about what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that knowing the ROI is really a huge part of knowing your ROI, is who exactly you're getting in front of, right? And that's what's going to lead you to having the return that you want. Now, with that in mind, I do have examples from our clients of what their ROIs have looked like of working with us, because I think everybody wants to know that, right? Like, what are the numbers? What does this actually look like? And so we have had multiple clients, that have just, 5x, 10x, et cetera, their investment with us on clients. And the reasons for that are kind of different. And it's also how they handle that situation on the back end. So one of those is our client, Liz Wilcox. And some people that are listening to me right now might know Liz Wilcox. She's very, very well known in the email marketing world. And that's what she does. She's an email marketing copywriter. And she has a membership that costs $9 a month. $9 a month. And it is amazing. Even if she wasn't my client, I'd be like, y'all, this like membership is amazing. By the way, I'm not on here to talk about Liz Wilcox's membership, but I just have to say it's awesome. But she has over 3,000 members of that membership. When you do the numbers on that, wow.
That's amazing.
And the reason that she has 3,000 people on her membership is because she gets on podcasts regularly. She speaks in front of audiences regularly. She has never spent a dime on ads. She has no interest in spending money on ads. She knows that when she gets in front of the right people, she makes sales. And I was actually talking with her about a month ago, and she was like, I'm still getting people daily from the podcast that I was on 6 months ago, a year ago, etc. She also has a really dynamic personality. So she's very authentic. People really connect with her. And then she has a genius funnel on the back end. And that is a huge thing that I want to say helps your ROI. It's not just speaking on the podcast, it's what you do on the back end as well. And so I think that that's so important for people to know. So like for Liz, she has her first email, and you can steal this subject line. She'd be like, steal it. But her first subject line, after they download the freebie, they get sent an email and it says, hey, can I have $9? And then in the email, it's like what exactly the membership entails. And so many people take her up on that, because they're like, well, it's only $9. I can always cancel it if like she isn't as good as I think she might be, or what she says she is. And then they get into the membership and they're like, oh, this is like legit. This is actually like a great membership, and for like a really low cost, type of thing. And they end up staying. So having that marketing, and I'm sure you can get into this being a marketer, but it's like having that marketing on the back end is just as important as the interview itself, right?
Yeah.
Having that way to nurture them into a product, a service, a call. If that's what you do, like for me, I'm nurturing people into a call because I want to make sure they're going to be a good fit for our pitch broker service. So what is it that you're trying to get people there to? And that's what we're really looking at is, I can't help you close the sale, right? That's not what I'm there to do. But what I'm there to do is get those leads into your funnel, or get those leads to where you can purchase that service. And so for our clients, that has been huge for them. We have, I just gave an example though of like how you use it in perpetuity, or I want to give an example of how you use it in perpetuity. A lot of people make this mistake with podcasts is they do not see it as evergreen content that you should be using over and over and over again.
Mm.
And I want to give kind of that example of what that has looked like for some of our clients. So one of our clients, Luis Baez, is an amazing sales coach. He works with organizations kind of to get their intrapreneurs, the people that already work in the organizations, doing more sales and more innovation. And he will take his podcast interviews. We do some of this for our clients, but he has taken it to another level where he will chop that into 10 snippets per episode and write a blog post per episode that he does.
Nice.
And he will put those up and he will use them over and over and over again. And that has led him to, he puts them on LinkedIn in particular, because that's kind of where his area, his ideal customer is. And he has had a lucrative content deal. He has one of the top LinkedIn courses because LinkedIn was like, can you create a course for us based off of XYZ? He had a content deal with another organization where he did a course, and he had a lucrative job offer that he now does as well. And that's all from people seeing those snippets months down the road. It wasn't because they heard him on that initial interview. It's because they saw those snippets months down the road and they were like, yo, this guy knows what he's talking about. And he's been on a lot of shows. Like, clearly people value what he has to say. So let's see, if he could be a good fit for our organization. And he's great. He's also, again, one of those personalities that he's very authentic. People just naturally gravitate towards him. So those are just two examples of many clients, but the ROI is all in a lot of times on the back end as well. And so I think that that's such an important thing to note, is like, it's not just going to be, I do this interview and I get a client. That does happen. Don't get me wrong. But if you really want to be seeing the ROI, you need to make sure that you have those back end things in place as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. So you alluded to this, but let's dive in a little bit deeper. So you mentioned you could have like a freebie that you talk about on the podcast, and that will be the bridge into your funnel. What have you seen work really well in terms of converting listeners into somebody that's going to come and participate with something that you're doing?
Absolutely. I mean, besides the $9 email, which just is such a good example of Liz, absolutely, for our clients, there's multiple ways that you can be doing that. And that's something we do with our clients. Actually, the first call they have is a messaging session, and we talk about the call to action, because we're like, this is it, yo. At the end of the podcast, they're going to be like, how can people find out more about you? And you want to be able to direct them exactly where you want someone to go. So one of our clients, her name's Crystal Lynn Shelton, and she's a QuickBooks expert, like literally wrote the Amazon book on QuickBooks. It's like a bestseller every year. I'm always like, no, guys, like, she really is the QuickBooks person. And one thing that she's done that's really, really cool is she has essentially a website that she sends everybody to at the end of every podcast. So she says, hey, head to crystallynshelton.com/podcast or whatever it is. And on that page, she has a freebie. She has testimonials. She has how to connect with her on social media. And that is such a really, really great way to capture people where they are. Because some people, they just want to get that freebie. They want to get that freebie, and then they're going to go into the nurture sequence there. Other people are like, I'm ready to hop on a call with you. I want to see how I can work with you. I want to have that information there. And then there's other folks, the lurkers, and hey, I can be a lurker. I completely get it. That are like, I just want to start following you on like Instagram or LinkedIn and like I want to see more before I commit to like having you in my email inbox or hopping on a call with you or something. And I get that. We are at the point where we're not interested in getting on someone's email list unless we're really interested in what they have to say. And that's okay. That's okay. That's just where we're at. So sometimes people are going to just start following you on socials, but having that page is a really, really, really great way to kind of let people choose their own adventure, to a certain extent. And the nice thing about that is that URL is never going to be broken. And what I mean by that is people listen to podcasts a year later, 2 years later. I'm binging a podcast right now from 2020. So that's 3 years later. Because when I find a podcast I like, I go way back. I'm like, oh, okay, so now I'm going to listen to 30 of these. Like we're in it now. And I'm not alone. A lot of people do that. But the issue with that is sometimes someone will give you their freebie and that's not a valid link anymore, or that's not a valid offer anymore. And so it's really nice to be able to say like, I just have this this URL, it's always going to be active. Even if I change out what the freebie is, there's always going to be something there. And I think that that's so important from a marketing perspective. You don't want them to have to be then Googling your name and trying to figure out where to find you. You just want to have it be that one shot. You're sending them to that one URL. So I think that that's a really, really great way to be capturing those leads, again, at whatever level they're ready for.
Yes. Yes. I love that. I feel like we could talk for hours. So I'm trying to prioritize.
I could. I'm like ready to go. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Let's just keep going. I think this will be a good one to kind of maybe wrap this up. We'll see. I've heard from a student before. They're like, okay, I've been on a couple podcasts. Say I've done, 4 or 5 podcasts. I'm not seeing results yet. How would you start to troubleshoot a situation like that?
Oh, that's a great question. So I really would honestly say you need to be on more. And I know that that's not necessarily the answer that people always want to hear, but Kaye just laughed at me because it's true. People are like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. And it because I get this a lot. I speak at events or I'm at events and people come up to me and they're like, I've been on a couple podcasts and I'm just like not seeing the results that I'm hoping for. Yeah. I get it. But the second question that I ask for them is like, well, how many have you done? And they're like, oh, I've done 3, 4, something like that. I'm like, okay, over what period of time? And they'll be like over the last year. And I'll be like, okay, well, we need to be showing up a lot more than that to be seeing the results that we want. The other question that I would ask is, who is hosting these podcasts? Meaning, is this your friend? Is this your, client? And they're asking you to be on their show. That's all completely fine. For the record, I'm not anti going on your friends' shows, going on your clients' shows. But if it's not your ideal audience, then you cannot be expecting for that to move the needle. And I think that that's really important for people to understand is like, it's not just getting on a podcast to get on a podcast. It's getting on a podcast full of your ideal audience. And the size, again, as we spoke about earlier, doesn't really matter. It's just who is listening to it. Just to give you an example, when we work with our clients, we work with them for a year and we get them booked on 24 podcasts over that year.
Dang, girl, yes. That's amazing.
Yes. And the thing is, that's what's going to have to happen for it to really move the needle in your business. You need to be showing up in all these different places over and over and over again. Because some of those, even though they're the right audience, some of them are going to pop and some of them aren't going to pop. And that's just the way it kind of goes. But you have to put yourself out there over and over again to have that opportunity. So about 2 a month is what I really recommend to people, with the knowledge that like 1 month you might do 3, 1 month you do 1. It's all good. It just kind of averages out to that 24 over the year. I can pretty much guarantee to you, if you are getting on 24 shows full of your ideal audience over the course of a year, your business is going to look different at the end of that year than it did at the beginning. And I think that that is something that people need to hear, because we want everything to happen real fast and real quick and stuff like that. But that's just not the way that publicity works. Publicity is the long game. And I always like to say, if I may give a metaphor, that's what I always like to do, is that publicity is a lot like ice. And what I mean by that is that before ice freezes, all this stuff is happening under the surface that we don't see. And then suddenly that ice freezes and that's what we actually see, right? And that is so much of how publicity is. You're going to be going on all these shows. You're going to be showing up again and again. By the way, your message is going to get clearer, clearer, and clearer as you go on all these shows, meaning you become even better as you go along at doing it. And then boom, that ice will freeze. You will become the expert in what it is that you do. And I think that that is such a great analogy for folks to realize, like, kind of what publicity looks like, because it's not going to be, I was on 3 or 4 shows and I saw a big difference in my business. It's going to be you committing to doing this for the next year, the next, year plus of your time, and committing to getting really good at it and showing up over and over again.
Yeah. Honestly, it's part of my ongoing evergreen marketing strategy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just works. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. Yep. Okay. So for the people that do want to dive in deeper and learn more, where should they go? What will they find?
Wouldn't it be awkward if I didn't have something right here? I was like, I don't know. Yeah. No, the place that I really, really would encourage you to go to is podcastpublicityquiz.com. And that is a really fun quiz I have that is all about, well, I think it's really fun, but all about where you where you kind of are right now and what might make the most sense for you in regards to our offerings. We have a DIY course. We have a VIP day. And then we also have our podcast pitch broker service, which is where we handle all the pitching for our clients.
Amazing. And if the person listening could do just one thing after taking in all of this amazing intel and insight, what would you recommend that they do?
Do it. Just do it. And what I mean by that is a lot of people hold themselves back. And, you know, before we got on this, Kaye and I were talking a little bit about the imposter syndrome I had coming on this show, because she has all these really smart people on this show, you know, and I was like listening to the episodes and I was like, oh, you know, like I am not a professor and I am not all these amazing things that the people have done. And then I had to say to myself, like, you know what? You have like a successful agency and you've done all this. And like, you need to realize that like you are completely valid to be on the show and talking, you know, to Kaye and her audience. Yeah. And I say this to share that we all have these moments. And we all have these things that fear that gets in our way. And it's all about realizing that if you aren't getting in front of new clients, your business will not grow. And that's just the fact of the matter. I truly believe that the biggest, you know, people worry about the mistakes they're going to make when they go on a show. Like, what if I say something wrong? What if I do it? I believe that the worst thing that can happen is you don't do it. Because if you do not get out there in front of your ideal audience, you will not get new clients and your business will not grow. So that would just be my advice to everybody at the end is like, just do it. Just hit send on these pitches. Just, you know, make this a part of your marketing plan and commit to it. Have this be, you know, the thing that really takes you to the next level.
Mic drop. I love it. Thank you, Christina.
Yes.
And I think you're incredible, for the record. And I also feel a lot of imposter syndrome all of the time. And particularly like in that asking mode, like pitching yourself, it can trigger a ton of.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Angst. And one thing I'd want to say around that is we get a lot of no's too. We get ghosted. We get no's, you know, all those things happen. So please know that as long as you're sending a solid pitch, that you have nothing to be embarrassed about. It's not, it has nothing to do with you, right? It has to do with like, they may already have talked about that topic, or might already be, their docket might be full through the end of the year. All these things happen, but I totally get it that comes up for people. And, you know, pitching can really be triggering for people. But again, as long as you're doing it right, know you're going to get no's, know you're going to get ghosted, but you're also going to get yeses. And you're also going to get out there in front of that right audience.
Yeah. And hiring somebody like Christina can take some of that angst away if you're just.
Oh, I have so many clients. I love that you said that, because I have so many clients that like that. I think that's a big reason why they hire us. Like, I just don't want to, like, I just can't deal with it. Like, I just can't deal with it, like doing it. And like, if I don't hear from them, I'm going to be like really sad, you know, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, we'll just, don't worry. We got you. So, you know, that is definitely, I'm like, let me get the no's. That's fine. I'm fine with that, you know, because also we can turn those no's into yeses sometimes too. So also remember that, you know, that a no doesn't have to mean a no. It might also just mean a not right now. You know, it might mean 6 months down the road, a year from then, you're also pitching them again.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your insight. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Brand Gravity Show. To grab any of the resources that we mentioned, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the links in the description below. If you're listening on your favorite podcast software, then head over to kputnam.com/podcast and you can get linked up with everything there. Thank you so much. I hope you are having an incredible day, and I will see you in the next episode.